Wait, tell him what you said. I just got done showing him the building.
Oh.
And the repair, all the issues that we've got, and the architect and structural engineer saying, okay, let's see, your windows aren't good. You just replaced your siding. Your roof still leaks. And the replaced siding, they're saying, will most likely need to be replaced again. The roof still leaks, and the structural supports underneath are rotted. What is there worth saving in this? And so I was telling him, some people are talking about, tearing down that wing and rebuilding. And
well, it's ironic I said that today is the feast of St. Francis of Assisi, a great church reformer, and I think the great quotation is that he heard God say to him, "Rebuild my church." Ironic that he would tell me this on this day.
So, God hasn't said that to me yet, but we'll see how this congregational conversation goes. Well, I'm here with Father Wally Helms, and I really appreciate your time and coming to my location instead of making me come to yours. And I just wanted to ask you a little bit about the Eucharist and on this World Communion Sunday. What is it about the Eucharist how does the Eucharist shape your faith?
Well, I guess most Christian denominations, and certainly Catholics, would say that the Eucharist is the center of his whole life. It seems like one could not exist without that. There's a certain amount of anxiety about this in the diminishing numbers of priests. If they say no priest, no Eucharist, it's very tied up with the priesthood. So in a very personal way, it's got something to do with that. But I think I would like to share with you an experience I had that says something to me about Eucharist, and it's based on that idea that the Eucharist is the celebration of the self-sacrificing love, which I think Jesus wants us to celebrate and also carry out. When I was away on vacation at a previous parish, I had been there for a number of years. And this was a rather extended vacation, let's say like 3 weeks. And I remember coming back and celebrating the Eucharist after that. And as the people came to communion, tears came to my eyes because I saw in the faces of those people the stories that those different ones represented. And I thought, I know how that person has celebrated and shares and suffers and sacrifices his or her life. And in a sense, it all kind of came to me, and it was almost overwhelming. And I think I still have experiences of that as you get to know the people even more. So I guess that's a way of saying in some way that for me, Eucharist, the best definition of it is the celebration of that self-sacrificing love, which is what Jesus was all about. And he gave his life for us. And he said, do likewise. And he sort of summarized that up in the Jewish Passover meal, which has become our Eucharist. And it's the breaking of the bread, the sharing of the cup, bread ground and grapes crushed, lives shared. And families do this at a meal. Families usually share a meal, and it is sort of not just the expediency of getting food, but it is that sharing of lives. And so it's an extension. The Eucharist is a celebration of the extended lives that we bring to the table and then go forth and nourish others. So that's kind of my experience of what it is to me.
I like the image of the Eucharist as that self-sacrificing love that is also lived out in us. And our stories. Do you have an example or maybe just a poignant experience in your own life where that has been lived out? Or maybe you just want to tell us a little bit of your story. I know becoming a priest maybe has some self-sacrificing elements involved in it.
Yes, well, I don't know. I can't think of anything in particular. I think one time we shared something in one of these things where you're supposed to share a story where something very impactful happened to you. And I don't know if it has much to do with Eucharist, but I think it has a lot to do with humility and the gift of oneself to another is that, you know, in the Catholic Church that we have the celebration of the sacrament of reconciliation or confession. And I was at my home parish after I was very soon ordained, and having a celebration of the sacrament in a communal way in which people would do this as a service. So they would come to the priest individually and confess their sins. Well, my mother came to me to go to confession, and I thought, wow, that is really an act of great humility on her part to actually share herself in that particular way with someone whom she raised and knows more about than anything. So I thought that was a great act of witness on her part, to say nothing less of all the witness that her life has been anyway. But in a sense, it all ties in with Eucharist and that gift of oneself, that self-sacrificing love again is giving it all away for the sake of getting it all more than you could ever imagine.
Well, I appreciate the collegiality that I've been welcomed into as a part of the Council of Religious Communities. And it's a good group of people.
It is.
And by you in particular.
Well, thank you. I've always been enriched by the experience of gathering and sharing with the others. I wish more of us would find that part of their schedule and their ministry.
Well, thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Doug.